Okay, you guys, I just spent like 17 minutes, not really, but too many minutes trying to get this pin on properly here and then here, and it didn't work. So I put it on the collar, and first time it actually looks okay. So that's what we're going with. Hi, Flosstube friends. Let me check my notes to make sure I've got the date right and everything. Hello. Today is Flosstube episode number 28 on this channel. I am Audrey Marine. This is StitchStitchBead, and that's how you can find me on Instagram as well. Today is Saturday, April 5th, 2025. It's been about a month since my last episode. It is really overcast here. Surprisingly though, the lighting looks okay. I did a little bit of testing about an hour ago or so, and I thought when I held things up to the camera it looked okay, so we're gonna go with it. Stuff back here and even I might be a little fuzzy to you, but I hope when I hold things up to the camera that everything is clear and you can see things nicely. So we're just gonna go ahead because I don't really want to wait too much longer to get back with you guys and show you what I've been doing. I have several finishes. I have a couple projects that I've put about a day into, so I'm not even going to bother showing those. So I really just have the one whip to show you and one new start and just a teensy bit of haul and some stitchy kindness. So, and then don't let me forget, like you can tell me if I do forget, but I want to talk about a couple new Flosstube channels as well. Very exciting. So let's get into the good stuff that I have behind me. This is a quilt rack that I found in an antique store here in Indianapolis, and I love it. It was less than $100, and I thought it was just gorgeous. And it's a very exciting day so kids actually like to go antiquing with me, which is weird. Maybe I've told this story before, but the first time I was trying to get the kids, we were out of town somewhere, and I wanted to go antiquing. I just wanted to go to a couple shops, and Ryan was at the racetrack. And I was like, well, I'll take the kids with me, obviously, because you're working. So, trying to get the kids excited about something that they wouldn't necessarily be excited about. I was like, come on, kids, we're going to go antiquing. And they're like, what's antiquing? And I said, we're going to go look at rusty old crap. They're like, yay! But when they saw what was in antique stores, like old furniture, weird old magazines and comic books and home decor and costume jewelry and weird clothes that smelled odd, and everything in between. They actually like digging through, and because you never know what you're gonna find. Really, they like look at the toys and see what they can find, old Hot Wheels and stuff. But we did have one great find last summer. We got this really cool chair in Plymouth, Wisconsin, and it was kind of a pain to get it back, but we managed, and it was less than $50. And I tell you what, they love that chair. They love that it's here in the Floss Palace, and it was a great find. So this quilt rack was another good find. I've gotten lucky on a couple things. I don't go into antique stores and find like the most amazing, most valuable, can't believe this is here thing, but a couple items have worked for me. So we're gonna get into this. I think I'm gonna start with my finishes. I ironed everything and then put them on the rack so that they would stay nice and smooth. Okay, I will start with this since it's on top. Pears. This is Redwork Pears by Annie Beez Folgart. And did I get that right? Yeah, Annie Beez Folgart. You can see I bought this from House of Stitches. I was there, must have been 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago. I have several of these Pears charts. I have the blue one and the green one as well, and I know she recently came out with the pink and gray one. I don't actually like that color combination. I think it looks a little odd, but the designs, whether you like the color combination or you don't, the designs are great, and then you can do them in whatever color you want. For instance, I stitched my Pears here in green. This is 46 count Castor Bridge by Tabby Cat Linen, and I used painter's threads to stitch these. So this was the one I did first. I did this quite a while ago. I just don't know if I ever showed it to you guys. And for this one, I used painter's threads in Turner, kind of an olivey green with a little bit of red in it. And then for the second one, that I did, probably just within the last week or two. I don't actually remember when. I write down in, not a book of days, but a date book, what I work on each day, and I could find this, but I don't remember off the top of my head when I did this. And I did this in one day. There really wasn't much to it. And for that second one, I stitched it in Cezanne, I believe that is. Yes, Cezanne. So you can see this is a little bit more blue green, and this is a little bit more yellow green, but they both have some pops of red. So 46 count caster bridge. I believe that the Pears call for, 36 count. So if you stitch them on 36, they of course would be a bit bigger. I chose 46 really just because I had this fabric and I really like the color. This was a fabric I bought at Hobby House last October, and when I saw it, I was like, yep, I need some of that. So I got this, and these actually, when they're finished, I think they'll probably be about the size of an actual pair. So I think that'll be nice. Painter's threads, I don't have all of the colors that they offer. I'd like to get at least, I think I picked out, like 8 or 10 more that I would like to add to my collection. I bought these from threadnuts.com. These spools are 150 meters, and they cost $18 a piece, which is a steal. And I did see, I went onto their website just a few days ago, and I saw that they are offering, and you can buy directly from them. I saw that they are now offering 50 meter spools, but those are $10. So this is a much better deal. You know, your stitches are going to cost less if you buy the 150 meter spools, but if you don't feel like you're going to use it all, then it doesn't make any sense to buy those and spend the $18 on a spool. But even now that I have the option, when I place my next order to get more colors to add to my collection, I will be buying the 150 meter spools, just because then I would have the option to do maybe a whole sampler in one color, or a buttload of pairs if I choose to do that. But if you're interested in those, I know some stores have started carrying them. Hobby House carries them, as well as the Attic, but you can purchase directly from threadnuts.com, and they offer free shipping. I think it's over $40, which is really easy to do. Really easy to hit that threshold. Okay, my next finish, I did show my work in progress of this last time. This is Susanna de Carle by Hands Across the Sea Samplers. I did not attend Sampler Symposium this January, but this was a gift to the attendees, and one of my friends, I had a few friends there that went, and so I was a little bummed that I didn't go, but one of my friends who attended, she offered to send this to me because she said that she didn't need this, but I was very happy to have it. I stitched mine on 56 count Spindrift, I believe this is. It's Cedar River linen, I do know that. This was a remnant of the fabric that I had left over from another project. And I used the called for 103 in 664, which is my favorite red, but then I had the Soie Fine in 2664, and that's what I used for the over one, her name down at the bottom. And I saved that for last because I knew that was going to be my favorite part of the whole thing, and it was. But this little thing stitched up so quickly. When I showed it to you guys last time, I had a pretty good chunk done, so I was confident I could get it done before this video, and I did. I will have this finished into a little pillow. So this is going in the things to send to Faye. Next time I have a batch ready for her. And because it's not going to be framed and put on the wall, I'm not going to put a signature on it. If you have watched any of my previous videos, you've heard me talk about that, how I add an initial and the year, or sometimes a little symbol in combination with that to a finished piece. But I'm just gonna leave this just as it is and send that off to Faye. Okay, so let me start a floor pile. Okay, Cross Stitch the Globe, Stephanie and Allison, this would have been a couple months ago, probably. They did their most, oh yeah, it was in January. they did their most expensive cross-stitch charts based on data that Stephanie had collected from eBay sales of 2024. So Stephanie found in doing this research that she actually had one of these charts that was on the most expensive list, you know, that had sold for oodles on eBay. So she was like, well, I need to stitch it and then get rid of this thing. And I had mentioned to her that it was like, yeah, that was one that I had looked at, but then I saw how expensive it was, the few that were ever available on eBay. And so it was like a no-go for me. I was like, I don't need that chart that badly. But she offered to lend me the chart. So she stitched it and then she lent it to me. I stitched up in just a few days. So that way she could like get it up on eBay or actually I think she put it on her Etsy de-stash. I will put the information below if you guys want. Easter Peep by Brenda Gervais. So this is an old out of print chart from Brenda Gervais. It's so cute. I've seen some people's finishes of this. And in fact, Faye Rigsby on her Instagram, she had a recent fully finish for a client that had finished this. And she finished it in the way that Brenda Gervais had suggested, with like felt kind of wavy trim around the pillow finish. I think I'll just have something much more simple done with this. But I did choose my own colors. So none of these are the called for colors, nor is it the called for fabric, because I stitched this. Now let me get my notes so I get this right for you guys. I stitched this on 40 count sea glass from No. 12 Stitch Co. And I will link her Etsy shop below so you guys can find her. Laura and Brenda mention Nicola of No. 12 Stitch Co. quite a bit, so you would have heard of this dyer. She's in Australia. I have several of her linens. They're all great. I stitched the Pennsylvania Christmas pillows from Shakespeare's Peddler on Nicola's red. I think it's red rose, and they're gorgeous. But this is the sea glass. This is a 40 count, as I said, and I stitched it with Roxy Floss Co. threads. And real quick, I used for the chick, I used Chick, Yearly Bonus, and Colonel Mustard. The little tie around him and on his hat is Sayonara. His hat is Sugar Cookie. The little bunny balloon head thing there, that would be also Sugar Cookie, Beachy Keen, and Peaches and Cream. The flowers are Knockout and Dragon Fruit, and all the green is Smells Like Money. Now the Peaches and Cream and Dragon Fruit are one-of-a-kind club colors. So those are not available for purchase, although if you're seeing this the day I post it, you should, and if you're interested in these pinks, the floss pack that one of those pinks was a part of, no, I guess it would have been both of them. No, I feel like, no, it's just the darker one. This darker one is a one-of-a-kind. Anyway, go into Evertote and just put in March in the search, and then the March one-of-a-kind Floss Club extra pack for $28 will pop up. And if there are still any available, you can purchase that. But everything else should be available if you're interested. And you know, if you can't get the dragon fruit, I think their maraschino would be a good substitution for this. I feel like, oh, this is so dark. All right, that's better. I put the brightness up on my screen so that at least to me it appears to be better coloring. I hope I just didn't waste 15 minutes in all that darkness. Anyway, I know this is a long time on one project, but thank you very much, Stephanie. I love him, he's so cute. So thank you for letting me borrow that pattern, I love it. So cute. So that'll be part of my Easter spring display next year. Okay. Since my last video, I started and finished this. This is Lost, Mrs. Salmond, 1897. This is from the Words of Wisdom box by Hands Across the Sea Samplers. So now that I have finished this, there are only 4 samplers out of that box that I have not finished. One is Sarah Burt, the giant green and red one. I like to think that I'll get around to that one someday. The other 3 I likely will not stitch. So I feel like I've done what I'm going to do with the box, which is good. This was kind of the last one I wanted to check off. Okay, so I stitched this on 56 count Regency linen by Seraphim, and I hope you guys can see there is a blue tone to this fabric. This was one of those fabrics I just ordered offline, and I saw it and I was like, oh, that's going to be a pretty gray fabric, and then it showed up and it was blue. I was like, well, I'll use it for something. And actually I have used it for a Hawking, which is another one out of the Words of Wisdom box. Oh, and I know I used it for something else and now I don't remember what, but it was just so perfect because the called for 103 color for this chart is 72. And in ordering a bunch of Swatsurfine from Hobby House for Anton Uffendale, which I'll get to in a bit, I ordered a 2072, this color, and I was like, and then I realized I placed that order and I was like, I already have a spool of 2072, and these Swatsurfine are 100 meters. So when I pulled this one out, I was like, I'm going to use the Swatsurfine, not because I like it, but because I have a ton of it, and it lasts so much longer. So I just figured, let's just use the Swatsurfine and try to use some of it up rather than digging into a 103 spool. And talking about these silks, I take it for granted that you guys all know what this is, but this is Swatsurfine. It's extra fine silk. It's manufactured by Aubert Soie, and they also manufacture Soie d'Alger, which is the stranded skeined silk, and they manufacture Soie 103s. Looks exactly the same, but this is a bit thicker than the Swatsurfine. So just so you guys know that. This one, again, even though it's a little bit larger than some of my other pillows, I will have this finished into a pillow. So that is 2 things ready to go to Faye. The thing that I really want to get done, need to get started and finished, is a drum that Sissy Bailey Smith provided to attendees of the Great British Sampler Weekend. That's coming up in October. She gifted a drum chart to the people who are attending. As long as you're in the Facebook group, you can access this. And I want to get that started and finished and have that as part of the things that I send off to Faye, because a while ago she posted some drum finishes and I was like, I need a Faye Rigsby drum. And she's like, yes, you do. Yes, I do. So she just does a phenomenal job. And as I think it was in my January video, maybe my February video, I showed a bunch of the finishes that I got back from Faye. It's like, I can't believe these are mine and they're in my house and I get to look at them all the time. Okay, this is Salmon, you go on the floor now. Okay, and the items out of the Words of Wisdom box will not be released at a later date. Same with the Letters from Europe, and same with all of these charts you're hearing about from the All Things Bright and Beautiful box. So if you see any of these charts that you like, know that you will not be able to buy the boxes from Hands Across the Sea Samplers anymore, but I would look at D-Stash sites. I would talk to your Stitchy friends, because chances are you know someone, or you know someone who knows someone who got one of these boxes, and you can borrow or buy or whatever. So if you like anything, oops, guess I didn't need that. You should be able to get your hands on it. Okay, my last finish, right? This will be my last finish, is this lady. And I meant to look up the pronunciation of this. So we're just gonna go with N. Cornelia Van Beern, like M. Night Shyamalan. We don't need another first name, do we? Okay, so this is another exclusive chart that was available through Hobby House in their holiday Christmas mystery box. And this was one of the items in the box as well. You got this, you got Cornelia Van Beern chart, the fabric and the silk needed to complete the chart, and an ornament. And so a few videos ago when I was talking about how I really like the Hobby House branded item, maybe the best out of anything in the box, I was talking about the ornament because I love that ornament. It's a big crystal snowflake and it has the Hobby House logo in the center. I just love it. But let me show you Cornelia. So bad that I can't pronounce her first name. Okay, I finished this, a couple weeks ago, and I was on a video call with Gem, Stitch and Gem, and Vashti, the cute olive. And I told them, I said, okay, I'm gonna show you my finish of this, and just so you know, I put my signature somewhere on it, and I wanna know if it slaps you in the face. And I hold it up, and they're like, yeah, that big bright red thing right in the middle. And I was like, okay, well, it's very, very bold, and that's not really what I wanted. But I finished this, and I started it last year shortly after I got it. So I think the boxes showed up in early November. And I think I started it mid to late November, somewhere in there. And these, 5 borders here were just dragging. So I put it away for months, and then when I finally pulled it out and just started going across with the borders, I was like, actually, this isn't that bad. It's just a lot of stitching, but the borders are very easy to do. So once I pulled this out, I was like, well, this is really pretty. I like all the borders. I like all the eyelets down here in the bottom. I would really like to put my full signature on this. And when I say my full signature, I mean the A, the year, which in this case is just 25, and then my lion. And I don't always put the lion on everything that I stitch because there may not be room or it may just look awkward. But for this one, I thought I really want to put the full signature. Now, this right here was the last thing I stitched before my signature. And in going down here, I thought, well, my signature would actually fit very nicely here if I left this little diamond, period, whatever you want to call it, off of the piece. However, I didn't want to leave that off because ending all of the other alphabets, there it is, 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 and it is there as well. So I thought I want to leave that on there. Now the Z up here was already offset. It's not centered. So I thought, well, if I put my signature there, if you put my signature there, then actually it would make that combined with the Z centered. So that's what I ended up doing. I do think it's a little bit more bold than I would like, but it's over 1, so we ain't taking it out. This is on 56 count. This is a Mason linen. It's the light version of whatever they sent. I don't even know. Let's see. It is the light version of... You think I would know this? Antique Button by Mason Linen. And Mason Linen, they will do gradients of a single color. They will do light, medium dark, and dark. And there's no modeling, it's all a solid color. And I stitched this in the called for color, if I did not already say that, which I believe is 681. Yes, but I used Swatsurfine. And the reason I used Swatsurfine on this is because when I chose 56 count for my mystery box, they sent Swatsurfine. I actually would have preferred to use the SWA 103, but again, it's like, well, they sent the Swatsurfine. It takes forever to use up a Swatsurfine spool. I've never actually done it, so let's just use that. But nice finish, so I will have that framed. I do really like that one. Love the, I like red samplers, period. I really want to get Dinah Disney. So that one's on my list. I think that one, I do think actually that one is small enough that if you stitch it on 56 count, it would be nice. It would be a nice size pillow, but I'm not sure I'm remembering that correctly. So anyway, that one is on my list. It's everything, just every hats chart that I don't have. How about that? That's what's on my list. So I think now I have finished 8 hats charts this year. A lot of them are small. Most of them are small, but still, that's pretty good. Okay. Let me make sure. Oh, okay. And this was the only other finish that I had, and it's not even cross stitch, but I'll show it to you anyway, because if you guys watch, if you have watched, you know, at least some or maybe most of Katie Strachan's videos, you will have seen that she creates these peyote stitched fobs, and they're based on these Fern Ridge collections. I think she's done a couple of their actual kits, and then she used that knowledge to create her own, using her own bead stash and all that. So when I was at a stitch day at Always in Stitches here in Noblesville, Indiana, I say here, I'm actually in Cumberland, but it's the closest thing to me, and it's still like 45 minutes away. I went and dug through the clearance section, and they had this on clearance, so it was 40% off, but plus they were offering an extra 20% off. So I think I got this kit for about $23, which was a great deal. And I only bought the one because I thought, if I really like it, if I really enjoy it, then I can go and buy more. You could buy them directly from Fern Ridge online, or maybe your LNS carries them as well. But I thought if I hated it, I don't want to have a bunch of these kits. And I will say the instructions, maybe I just wasn't understanding it, but the start instructions were difficult for me to comprehend. But once I did get it, like, you know, like it's like a switch goes off and I'm like, oh, that's how you start. Once I understood how to start, all this peyote stitch was really easy and actually quite enjoyable. But this bit on the bottom was a pain in the patella, and I freaking hated it. So this might be a one and done. I was telling at least Jem this. I thought, well, this would be nice to give as gifts, like, you know, not just to everybody, but I thought, well, if the kits are about $40 and it takes me a few hours, that would be fine. I think that would be a nice gift to give. No, I'm not making these as gifts. They're horrific. It just wasn't for me. I like the finished product, and I did enjoy this stitching, the weaving back and forth, but adding all that crap on the bottom, no thank you. And I feel I'm not stoked about this clip up here, this like clamshell clip, and how it's secured to this slip ring, and I'm not actually sure how durable it is. So what I ended up doing with this is I have a cabinet over here full of my little pillow finishes and some decor items and things. And there is my cuckoo bird pillow, the one that's by Heart and Hand, Cecilia. And I've got some pins in it from Jersey Girl Stitch Co. And I just hang this off of one of the pins. And so it kind of, it's a rather large pillow because I stitched that on 40 count, and then my mom finished it and it has like a generous border, so it's a rather large pillow. So this just hangs on that, and I can see it, and it kind of glimmers in the sunlight, and isn't that nice? But I'll probably never make one again. A couple days after I finished this, I was like, well, maybe it's not as bad as I was thinking, and I could do more of these. And I was like, shut up, Audrey. You're not gonna do this again. But I'm glad I did it once. And there were a couple ladies at the stitch day with me. They saw that I had pulled this out of the clearance bin, and they're like, oh, well, we're gonna go look too. And I know that Barbara, they had one left of these with the thistles, and she really loves purple. So she pulled that, and then Karen, I don't remember the one that Karen pulled, but I hope you ladies figured it out. If you didn't figure it out, then the next time I see you, I'll be able to help you get started, but I'm not gonna do it again. The good thing is, though, the kits do come with just a crap ton of this. It's kind of like dental floss. Anyway, it's very strong and durable. Comes with a lot of that, way more than you need. You have plenty of extra beads. What you do not have any extra of is all this stuff. They don't give you any extras of that, so be careful. And also, if something is a little wonky, like I had one of these silver pieces in here that wasn't quite fully formed from the factory, and so it's like, well, I gotta use it because I don't have any extras. But it also comes with 2 needles, which is what you need. And so you get everything that you need in the kit, which is nice. Okay, I do have one whip that I have been working on quite a bit, and I would like to have had it finished before now, but I don't. It is Eliza Duff Curtain by Hands Across the Sea Samplers. I purchased this at Hobby House last October when I was there for the Great British Sampler Weekend Comes to America. I hope this will be released to the general public later this year, but I'm not actually sure. But keep an eye out on the Hats website. You should also join, if you're on Facebook and if you're interested, you can join the Friends of Hands Across the Sea Samplers Facebook page, and whenever Nicola has a new release, I mean, she puts it all there. She puts it in her videos, she puts it on Instagram and on this Facebook group. And this is what I have so far. When last I showed it, I had the letters done up here, and I had probably half of this green border, and then I had a couple motifs here started. But since my last video, I've added the house and the birds and all this stuff down here. I'm almost done with the tree, and then that whole side will be done, except I need to fill in this heart. There are a few stitches left in there, but it's just so colorful. It's beautiful. I love the eyelets here. These 2 bands are all eyelets, and then this blue band is all eyelets as well. I really like that. Yep. This door knocker here, can you see? I asked like you can answer me, but that's a bullion knot. That is my 3rd bullion knot. The first 2 involved a lot of swearing, as did that one actually, but I got it on there. It's not perfect. I ain't pulling it out and redoing it. I think perhaps the bullion knot would have been easier had I been using a thicker, fluffier thread, maybe cotton or soie d'Alger or something, but this is a soie 103. And so as I was wrapping the thread around my needle, when I came back up through the hole, it was so tight that it was then difficult to get the needle through the little, you know, because you kind of create what looks like a little cocoon, and you got to pull your needle through that, and it was very difficult. So when I finally got it on here and it was good enough, I said it's good enough. So, and the windows are not filled in, nor are the chimneys. That is a finished house. And there are going to be 2 little doggies down here, and other than that, you know, everything on this side is going to be the same as what's on the other. So almost done with that. Okay, my new start. I had a bunch of things that I was considering starting, and I sent a bunch of pictures at a very firm request to Laura of the things that I was considering starting. And then she's like, well, they're all good, so it doesn't matter what you pick. I was like, okay. This is what I ended up starting. This is called The Innocence of Childhood, Caroline 1825. This is a reproduction sampler by Running with Needles and Scissors. You can see the photo of the antique on the back. I like that the borders are very orderly. In fact, they are completely regular except in the corners. And so it has been very easy to stitch. And really, I bought this because I wanted to stitch the tiny letters. I did get this a while ago. I don't even remember when I got it, but I got this a while ago. I really liked the delicacy of it. And I purchased the called for linen, which is 5363 Sycamore Seed Pod. And I started this just a couple days ago. I think I started it the day before yesterday. And when I got into the border just a bit, I thought, oh God, this is gonna take forever. But then yesterday I zoomed along on it, and then this morning I added just a few more, we'll call them flowers, to reach the end. This is actually the end of the top. So, and I am stitching this with Soie Surfine, and even on high count, the 56 count. I use Soie 103. It's a bit thicker than Soie Surfine, but I opted to do Soie Surfine for this one because it's 5363. It's a tight weave. It says 5363 Sycamore Seed Pod from Legacy Linen, and it is a tight weave. I finally pulled it out of the package that I had it in and went, oh my God, how am I going to stitch on this? Because I don't have a magnifier or anything like that. But I have managed. I would say the greatest difficulty, I believe, comes in not the size of the holes or the high count that it is, but just that it's the color. It kind of reminds me of raw natural. And so there's like a little bit of speckling in it almost. And so you like poking into what you think is a hole, but actually it's just a spot. And I have stitched over 3 accidentally a few times in this and had to pick it out. And so that's been a little bit of a challenge, but I think in good lighting and when I get into a groove, it has been pretty easy. But again, using the Soie Surfine, just because one of those counts, like it's 53 one way and 63 the other, and that combined with the fact that there are over 1 letters on it, I just thought the Soie Surfine would be best. So I really like this so far. I like that I've done basically the whole top border in just a few days. And I am stitching this so that the stitches are fatter, you know, from left to right than they are top to bottom. And I did a little bit of a test here because there was no way I was counting the weave to determine which way it went. So I just did a few test stitches here, just about half a dozen, and that illustrated to me which way I needed to orient this because on the back, it says stitch count is 258 by 274, and as stitched on this, it's 9.7 inches by 8.7 inches, which tells me that they did it so that the stitches were fatter left to right than they are top to bottom. And then the funny thing is, if I am not mistaken, Caroline here was very careful about her border, but not so much her spelling. So it says, oui, le candeur, attribut de l'enfance, va prononcer ce qu'éprouve le cœur. Respect, amour, tendre, reconnaissance. Voilà mes vœux, voilà mon bonheur. So, as far as I know, it's supposed to say prononcer, not prononcer, and it's supposed to say reconnaissance, not reconnaissance. But Trisha, you can help me out with that. Is that right? I meant to pull out my giant dictionary and look this up. If you don't want to stitch the French, there is an English translation provided. And then on the bottom it says offert par Caroline le, oh my God, my numbers. 16 le 16 août 1825. Yeah. And so, wow. Trisha, I need help pronouncing this word. It's an awful word. Maybe you can help me. I need to look that up. Okay, plans. Plans. The only plans that I really have, just continue on my whips, right? But then I do have one new start planned. Jem and I and whoever wants to join us are going to start Sarah Blackburn 1832. We're going to start this on Monday, April 7th, so just a couple days from now. And she's got all her floss ready to go. She showed it on her last video. This is Stitch and Jem. She is going to be using the Vicky Clayton silks. I think she's using a piece of Lakeside. I have done a Roxy Floss Co conversion, and I'm going to use 40 count Buttercup. This is the fabric. I mentioned this last time, and since my last video, it has arrived. Oh, look at that. And these are the colors. Oh, and I already stuck my needle in there. That's where I'm gonna start. That's my corner. But these are the colors. These are the Roxy Floss Co colors I have chosen. So real quick, I have picked Scarecrow. Oh, and I put a little dingly bit on there. Scarecrow, Steel, Florida Pink of Quartz, Bird's the Word, Peas in a Pod, Chick, Yearly Bonus, Smells Like Money, Strawberry Taffy, Vitamin C, Molly, Dragon Fruit. This is another one of the one of a kind Floss Club. And Panther is the black that I chose. Now, if you have this chart and you're interested in this Roxy Floss Co conversion, please note that I am using Yearly Bonus, which is this, for both 226 and 241, because I pulled the 100 threes. I pulled 226 and 241, and guess what? They look really close. So I thought I'm not gonna bother trying to find another cotton that is like this, just a little off. So I'm just gonna use that for both of them. But I think all of these should be available for purchase on the Evertote.ca website if you're interested, except this dragon fruit, which again, just pick a hot pink you like and it'll work. Because that's really what I did with this. I looked at the cover and I just thought, well, you know, I'm not staying true to Nicola's picks here, DMC or the Auvera Soie. So I'm just gonna pick what I like. And even this Chick I'm using for the 224. No, the 241. Nope, 224. Anyway, I like my conversion. We're just gonna stick with that. Oh, look at those colors. It is so overcast here, but somehow that is coming through nicely. Look at those. Yeah, gorgy. Okay, so we're gonna start this on April 7th. You are welcome to join us if you like. I don't think we're doing hashtags or anything. We're just posting it on Instagram and talking about it on our Flosstube videos. But go back and watch Jem's latest video if you haven't already. I will link her channel below and you'll be able to see the colors that she picked. And if you like her Vicki Clayton silks, you can just ask her what colors she picked, and I'm sure she'd be happy to help you out so you can get something similar. But if you're interested. Oh, and Evertote, they are in Canada. And despite the situation, if you order from them, there is, as of right now, a de minimis clause, you know, exception to these tariffs. So if you order from them, if you in the United States order from Evertote in Canada, as long as you spend less than $800, you won't have to pay an additional fee. You won't have to pay that tariff fee on top of your purchase. So if you are spending more than $800 on Evertote, good for you. but I am not, so yes. So I'm excited about starting this. I think this is gonna be really pretty. It's just such a little sampler. Really cute. And then after I finish that one, I think the next one that I would start from the All Things Bright and Beautiful box, which that one is from as well, I think would be Jessie Ormiston, which is on the black fabric. I have a piece of Night Owl from Evertote ready to go for that, as well as some Roxy Floss Co threads that I chose for that as well. But I think my favorite from that box is Harriet. Just a cute little quaint sampler, and it has a tree on each side. It's very balanced, and it's kind of like got some lilacs and stuff in it, which isn't always my thing, but I'm looking over there because my pile of charts from All Things Bright and Beautiful is over there. Like, it's, you know, you're gonna be able to see it. But anyway, I keep pulling that one out and looking at it. So I will use the 100 trees for that, just because I want the colors to be solid and very vibrant. And I'm thinking a legacy linen, something really thick and bold. So, okay. Since we've been talking about Jem a little bit here and there, she sent me some Stitchy kindness, as did a few other people. So I'll get into that, and then I'll show you my haul, and then that might be it. So I was on the phone with Jem a few weeks ago, and she was having a decision-making disorder, but then she ended up not needing my help at all. She was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go with this. I was like, okay, I'm great. It's so great that I was absolutely no help at all, but whatever. It was fun to talk to her anyway. But we were kind of talking about different silks and things, and I told her about how I had one skein of NPI because I bought it because I thought I wanted to try it. I'm interested in one day stitching the Houses of Hawk Run Hollow, and it would be nice to get the NPI silk pack, but that's an investment. So I'm not going to buy all of those NPIs just to find out that I actually hate NPIs. I don't think I would hate them, but it's just a different texture. It's a different quality, you know, different manufacturer. It's a Chinese silk as opposed to a silk, French silk, which, by the way, I was talking to Rupert about this, and he was like, how is silk made? And I was like, you know what? I meant to look that up sometime. And so we did. And wow, it was a learning experience. It was very interesting how they, silk manufacturers will, what is it? Farm, that's not the right word, but they'll grow the silkworms, and then how you encourage them to produce these cocoons, and then, well, you need the cocoons and you no longer need the worm. And anyway, PETA would not approve, but they make beautiful things. They make beautiful things. So anyway, Jen was showing me that she had a bunch of NPIs hung up on one of her pegboards, and she showed me a bunch of sets, and I was like, oh, I really like those greens. She's like, no, wait a minute, let me show you the rest of the colors that I have. And she went through the rest of them, and I was like, yeah. She's like, you still want the greens? And I was like, I still want the greens. So she sent me the green pack, the mint green pack. And I don't know, there's just something about this. And I swear, when she said she was gonna send these to me, I had a light bulb moment. I was like, oh, I'm gonna use those for that. And I cannot remember what that was. So I don't know what I'm going to do with this. I thought maybe like a small Quaker, you know, to do just the different greens for the different medallions, but that wasn't it. That wasn't what I was going to do with these. But I need to find something because I do want to test them out more than just on a doodle cloth. Can you hear that noise? Yeah. Ryan on the sim, it's a racing simulator, and if you like crash or have an impact with somebody else in the program, then his steering system like makes a bunch of noise. I don't even know if you can hear it. Jem also sent me this super fine Vicky Clayton silk. This is Quince, I think, if that's how you pronounce it. I was pulling out a single strand of it, and it is so tiny. It's also very soft, and I like this color. It's like a dark rusty red. Again, what am I going to do with this? I don't know. I got to find something. A very small red sampler maybe, but it's gorgeous. So thank you, Jem. And then after my last video, I had a few people reach out and said they want to send me things. And even though I feel like, no, you don't have to do that, I'm like, yeah, I want whatever you're going to send me. I like prezzies, so whatever. So Kathy Decker sent me, she sent me a really nice thing that she made. And also she sent this lovely card. We all know who makes these cards. This is the Hands Across the Sea. This is another chart I want to get. It's so pretty. But Kathy, I love your handwriting. I mean, it's so nice. Kathy sent, and you probably have seen this, and I haven't loaded it up yet, Kathy, and I know you're disappointed in me, but she sent this to me because Isabella Ufendel, all of my silks for that, I just put in this drawstring bag because there are a million of them. And so she sent this to me. It's a very large spool holder. And when you have one thing on each side, it holds it up. And if you watch Late Girl Stitches, which you should because Steph is hilarious and has amazing taste in samplers, Steph showed one or maybe two of these, but one of these that she got from Kathy Decker as well, and she uses it to store spools for some projects. The great thing is when you take the spools out, it folds flat, but when you've got the spools in here, it sits up nicely. You can put your numbers and or symbols here in these little, on these little bits of paper that Kathy put under this plastic here. And then she also said that she runs her thread through this elastic so you can just pull it off and cut what you need, and then it stays in there, you know, it doesn't. Anyway, so I have not, since my last video, I have not pulled out either of the Ufendel sisters, so I need to do that. But my solace is that, you know, Jem and I started Antong Ufendel on February 14th, Valentine's Day, and we're doing a section a month. So February 14th to March 13th, 14th, whatever, and then starting the next section, right? So we're not to the 14th yet. And my plan for next week, besides hopefully finishing Eliza Duff Curtain and putting a bit more into Caroline, that French sampler, I'd like to get back to the Ufendel sisters and put this to good use. Yes, so thank you, Kathy. Thank you, thank you. And Kathy, actually, you guys, if you have watched the Paisley Stitcher, she hasn't done a video for a while. Grace, come back. Grace was doing these series of videos with friends of hers, other stitchers who didn't have their own Flosstube channels, and she called it Flosstuber for a day. And she did one with Kathy, and it was amazing because Kathy has stitched everything under the sun and is also a quilter and has done other types of crafts, and it's amazing. And she was at Hobby House, and I really didn't get to talk to her really at all. But I think Kathy's going to be in Swindon, which is great. Yes, yes. And the point of this is that go to the Paisley Stitchers YouTube channel, check out her videos. They're all good. The ones that she does by herself, regular Flosstube episodes, but also the videos that she does with her friends. She has done a video with Kathy Decker. She's done one with Barry from Stitch Folk, Mary Darling, Dawn. I'm sorry, I don't remember Dawn's last name, but she's also a prolific stitcher. It's just fun. Oh, and then Beth, sampler stitcher, sampler lover on Instagram. Oh, I'm sorry, Beth. Beth Cartwright. And it's just nice. Not everybody wants to make videos because it can be a trial, right? But you want to see and hear from other stitchers in the community. So I really love that Beth has been doing that. And I know also that Kathy has been in other tutorial videos on YouTube. So I think if you just search Kathy Decker, Kathy with a K, on YouTube, then you should be able to find her. Yes, Kathy with a K. I'm paranoid that I got that wrong. I have an Aunt Kathy, and she's Kathy with a C, but I know there are lots of Kathys with Ks, and it's always a thing. So, yeah. Okay, and then I also got Stitchy Kindness from Wendy and Jackie, so thank you so much. Beautiful charts and pins. Let me just show you real quick. We're already at an hour. So again, lots of people have gone to Sampler Symposium. I did not attend, but I got Stitchy Kindness. And so I have several charts now from Sampler Symposium, which is wonderful. This is Cross Stitch Antiques. I'm so sorry. Cross Stitch Antiques. And this is Jane Egger 1790 from Wisbech, England. This is a Norfolk sampler. And when I got this one in the mail, I showed it to Ryan because I was not expecting this at all, but we had fun looking at all the different animals and the blue grapes. He was like, why are the grapes blue? I was like, I don't know, but they are. And I like them. So we had fun. So this little deer is so cute. And this dog looks like a dog that we've seen in a lot of samplers, right? But I was asking Ryan, I was like, what do you think this is? It's like a bunny going really, really fast. Because these are definitely rabbits, right? But what is this guy? You guys tell me. What is this guy in the comments? Oh, it's cute. I like this one. It's simple, but it's balanced. It's got some fun animals. It's got a little bit of satin stitching. Yeah, in the grass and in the baskets, some satin stitching. So it's funny. I saw what the recipients got from Sampler Symposium, and I got all worked up about Barbery Butcher, but I didn't get as worked up about some of these other ones. But seeing them in person, seeing the chart in person, I'm definitely more excited about these. I love this sawtooth around this cartouche. I didn't even realize that was there. Now all this stuff is over 1. So that sounds like a challenge, and it sounds like it would be, take a really long time, but that's gotta be, yeah, it's a satin sawtooth border. And Mary Ann Groom, which is a tiny little sampler from Hands Across the Sea Samplers, which I stitched at the beginning of January of this year. I'm looking at it in the cabinet. That has a small cartouche with satin stitches and a sawtooth, and it looks so good and I love it. So I'm kind of digging the satin sawtooth. And then Barbery Butcher. Ooh, Barbery Butcher. Again, this one I talked about on my last video. I like it so much. And only 7 colors. And I was looking at it. Now, just to let you guys know, the called for, because I tried to pull colors and I got to this 224, which is, it says old gold. I think it's more like a, in this picture, it looks like a butter yellow. But I tried to pull 224 and I was like, I don't have 224. That's odd. And then I went on to hoopandframe.com, which is where you can buy all of Access Commodities products for the most part. Except they don't sell Swasturfine on that website, which drives me bonkers. But I noticed that they didn't even offer 224 as an option, but it's out of stock. It just wasn't there. 224 wasn't there. And so then I just typed in 224 into the search bar. 224 into the search bar. And I came up, it popped up with some kits that they had available, some SWA 103 kits. And you click on the kit and you go down and it says what's included. And I've talked about this before when I was dealing with the Ann Thomas thing. You go down and it says what's included. And it says 224, is what's called for, will be substituted with. And so that told me that I needed to substitute this 224 with, it's either 147 or 148. I think it's 147. I think it's the lighter yellow. So if you guys ever, come across that where it's like, oh, the 103 is unavailable or whatever, I would recommend that little trick on Hoop and Frame. It has worked for me, but yeah, I just love this. And then Jackie, look, I found a home for your pins. So Jackie made, and this is Jackie of Comfort Stitching. You guys all know Jackie. She made these pins. And so she sent these along and I told her, I sent her a message and said, I got your package. Thank you so much. And I'm going to find a home for these pins soon. And there were some other pillows that I had in my cabinet here, like they already had like a little thing on it, a little trinket or a charm or something that Faye had put on when she finished it, or they already had pins stuck in them that I had put in there. And so when I saw this one, this is actually something that my son Morris stitched. He stitched this, oh my gosh, was it almost 2 years ago now at this point? Has it been that long? And then my mother fully finished it into a little pillow for him. So I thought, they got to go in there. It's so cute. And I have this in my cabinet over there. I have a spool that Laura gave me, and it sits on top of there with a strawberry and a little tiny jar of buttons and some ribbon or something like that. I'm trying to see what that is. But anyway, so I can see this every day. Yeah. Oh, and that's what I was going to tell you guys, Barbery Butcher. So I pulled colors, and I think basically I've got everything. But I've also got, the perfect fabric. Oh, this is 56 count white mustard by XJU Design. And I love the idea of having this delicate, kind of olive green and butter yellow border on this yellow linen. I love this linen. When I ordered it with a few other linens from XJU. I ordered it directly from her through Etsy, and it showed up and I was like, God, that's yellow. What am I gonna use that for? And I've actually used it for a couple things. One is at the Framers, and one is Marianne Groom. And and the Marianne Groom has a bit of yellow on it, like the satin sawtooth border on it. Looks so nice on the yellow fabric. So I have enough. Even though Barbery is pretty big, on 56 count, she's 10 by 12 and a half. So even on 56 count, she's kind of a big girl because she's 279 by 351. Oh my gosh. But I think this will look great. Oh, so good. Oh. I want to start all of the things. And of course, all of the things I want to start are huge. And then I was on the phone for a very long time with Jem and Vashti yesterday. And what is the point of this? I was telling them, nope, it went out of my head. Oh, that's what it was. I was telling Jem, this was before Vashti even got on. Because she was talking about the voucher that she got that we all got in the All Things Bright and Beautiful box. It's a coupon. I don't think we would use the word voucher, but it's like a discount code for the Hands Across the Sea website. And she's talking about that. Jem was talking about the things that she wanted to order, and I was like, well, wait, because in just a few weeks, Nicola's going to put out the Queen of the May, and I think this is what it is. And we kind of did some chatting and stuff, and for various reasons, we think that it is what I said I think it is, Queen of the May, so we're all hepped up and excited and everything. So, and it would be a big girl. So it's just another thing that's huge, and I want to start. And I keep looking at my whip list, asking myself, well, what can I knock out? What can I finish and get off this list? Because I've got 13 whips as it is right now. And I look at these things and it's like nothing is really close to a finish. Eliza Townsend, even though percentage wise she's close to a finish, there's still a lot to do. So I think Eliza Duff Curtain, this I could probably knock out in a few days if I really, devoted my time to it. But everything else, I've got the Lone Eagle sampler from Needlework Press, and I did put a little bit of work into that since my last video. I'm not even gonna bother showing it to you because it was like 300 stitches that I put into it. It's not even enough to notice. But I'm only just about to the halfway mark on that sampler. So, yeah, I think I just have to accept that I'm gonna have a lot of big whips. That's just how it is. Okay, I am going to move on to haul now. I mentioned last time I did order 3 charts from Market, and I inserted pictures, but I'll just show you. I have the actual charts, physical charts in my hands. Now Jem, Stitch and Jem, is doing what she calls Market Mania, where she starts a bunch of her Market purchases in May. And so I have Lily from Stacy Nash. This is Hop into Spring by Brenda Gervais, and I did purchase the board from Chantal 141. So when I spent quite a bit of time one day pulling Roxy Floss threads trying to pick colors for this, and I just couldn't settle on anything. So I don't know what colors I'm gonna pick for this. It was easy enough to pick a color for the bunnies, but then I was like, well, I don't really dig teal so much, and I want my flower to be more pink probably. Do I want to change these flowers as well? I don't know. I just wasn't happy with the combinations that I was coming up with. So ultimately I just put it all away and I was like, I'm not going to start this anytime soon. So for Market Mania, I think I'm going to start these very small Teresa Kogut that I bought last year, Voice So Sweet. But I'm going to just take the house out and move the bird down and just like do some tulips and 2 birds and call it good. And I do think, and everything's on the floor. That's okay. For Voice So Sweet, the Teresa Kogut one, I think this color palette will work really well. Like do the tulips kind of in, maybe in these exact 2 colors or something similar. And then I think I've got enough neutrals to do the birds. And one of the birds is wearing a little hat, and isn't that cute? And then also, I think I'll probably start Lily, just because she's so stupid cute. I know that Jordan, Tattooed Stitcher, she and I were messaging the other night. She asked me if I started Lily, and I said, no, I'm going to start it for Mania. But I don't even really remember what we were talking about, Jordan, but it was very enjoyable to message with you. So thank you for messaging me, and that was nice. We just kind of went back and forth for like an hour or something. I don't remember what the whole genesis was of that conversation, but it was great. And then this is the 3rd one that I bought. This is Flowers That Bloom by Shakespeare's Peddler. The flowers that bloom in the spring breathe promise of merry sunshine. It's just cute. It's got little rain boots and what? An umbrella, some robins, a rainbow. That's cute. Yeah, I like that one. I liked everything that Teresa Vanette put out this market, but you can't have it all. Okay, and I got those from Hobby House, and I also ordered some Soie Surfine. These are This one, $20.99, is the Swatcherfiend I need to do the over one letters for Eliza Townsend by Cross Stitch Antiques. The rest of them are Swatcherfiend that I ordered to complete the over one for Anton Uffendal. These are some Swatcherfiend. These are not all my Swatcherfiend, but these are the ones that I pulled that will work for Anton Uffendal, but I needed some more. Now, not the over one in Anton Uffendal, not all of it comes in a Swatcherfiend exact color, so I kind of had to fudge some things. But because these are the 103s for Anton Uffendal, and so I had to kind of pull out, okay, well, like, I don't know for sure, but like say this color was also in over one, I had to look through my Surfine stash and say, well, do I have this in Surfine? And then if I didn't, look on the Hobby House website and see if it did indeed come in Swatcherfiend. So, okay, so Anton, I need to do my second month section on her. Now that I got the Swatcherfiend, I can finish the over one for month one. And if you guys want to know the breakdown of how I have broken down Anton into 12 sections, just I'll post it again on Instagram. I'll put it on my stories again. And then another thing I bought is 2 skeins of Soie d'Alger. This is for the satin stitching on Anton. There's, you know, that crescent, like that leafy organic bit. And I remember Nicola Parkman talking about how satin stitches in Soie d'Alger look very nice and fluffy and full. So I thought I'll just do those leafy parts in Soie d'Alger. I got that. And then previously mentioned the, oh my gosh, Scottish Castle Drum chart provided to us by Sissy Bailey Smith of Gentle Pursuit Designs. I am also taking her class at Swindon, and for the class, our chart is a Scottish Castle Etui. I talked about this in depth on my previous video, so if you're interested in that, go back and watch that video. But for that Castle Etui, she recommends one particular color of Accentuate. Well, I bought 3 colors of Accentuate. I think this is the color that she called for the windows or something maybe, and then I decided to go with a deeper gold and then also a blue, because what the hell. And I thought, you know, and Accentuate isn't really very expensive, and look how sparkly. I've used Accentuate one time before in Hannah Campbell by Hands Across the Sea Samplers. The windows in the house are on the original. My understanding is that they were actually beaded, but beads could not be sourced for, you know, the different linen counts and everything. So they decided just to call for Accentuate. And I thought a full X of Accentuate was very bold and very sparkly. So what I ended up doing was stitching my first leg in the windows with the Accentuate, and then I stitched the second leg, the top leg of my X's in the windows on Hannah Campbell with a blue that was already called for in that pattern. So if you guys are interested in learning more about that, I finished Hannah Campbell last, it would have been, I think, the end of April, because I remember I finished it when I was overseas. And so then I would have talked about it when I came back and did like a May video. So about a year ago, I finished that. But I really like how the Accentuate looked. It was just like a little bit of sparkle. So I think I'm gonna have fun with these. And even if I don't use all of them in the Scottish Castle A3, I can use them in something else. So, is that enough stuff? Okay, I covered haul, Stitch Kindness, my whips, my finishes, all that. I'm gonna look for it here. Okay, that's all my notes. Okay, so the last thing I wanted to talk to you about is, I've already mentioned a couple floss tubers, but I wanted to be sure to let you know that Vashti, who you've heard me talk about before, you've heard Brenda and Laura talk about, She has only been cross-stitching for a few years, but longer than I, and she has worked at the attic for a bit. Now she's an avid cross-stitcher. She's done model stitching for different people that you've heard of, I'm sure. Anyway, she started a Flosstube channel. So you can find her at the Cute Olive, if I've got that right. And I'm going to link her below, and I want you to check her out. Her video just posted this morning after many days of technical difficulties, and boy, I mean, I wasn't even having to deal with it, and I felt so bad for her. But she got the video up, and it's great. I sent her some, I can't even say they were notes this morning. I was like, this is everything I like about the video, and I have no really constructive criticism even to offer you, but I think you can expect more great videos from her. So I would check out her first one. Please do that. Even if you haven't met her or seen her or interacted with her, I'm sure you've heard of her, and she's got great stitching. In her first video, she just kind of talks about how she got started and how she got to where she is now. And I think on subsequent videos, you'll get to see a whip parade. You'll get to see more finishes and things like that. So I would check her out. Another person that I wanted to recommend is somebody that I found a few weeks ago, just popped up on my YouTube feed, and I'm so glad that she did. Her name is Charlie, and she is a young, brand spanking new stitcher, and she lives in the UK. She says that she's got a lot of time, and she wanted to find a craft that was new to her and that was also time consuming, actually. And isn't that funny? Because so many of us are like, we want to stitch all the things and we want to get them done because we've got so many things on our to stitch list. And Charlie is deliberately, choosing this because it is so slow, and it's kind of funny. But as I say, she's a brand new stitcher. She just started stitching this January. And I think it will be interesting to watch the decisions that she makes and the different projects that she chooses. She's made some fun little magnets, which I have done as well. I've made so many of those like little perforated paper magnets and ornaments and things. She has a finish on Ada as well. And she's just like, she's got to figure this stuff out on her own. But she's very pleasant to listen to. I swear you could just listen to her read the phone book and it would be great. So I will link her below. Her name is Charlie, and I was just so glad that YouTube said you should watch this, and I did. Okay, I think those are the recommendations that I have for now. As I say, Stitch and Gem, I'll link her below. Brenda and Laura, don't miss their videos ever. They're so much fun. And actually, their last video, so Laura usually sits to us on the right and Brenda is on the left. The video pops up and Laura is on the left and Brenda is on the right. And my kids and I were actually at my mom's and we're watching this. We're like, oh. Morris is like playing a video game or like reading a book, or I don't know. He was looking down. I remember he was on the couch with me, but he was looking down. And Mom and I were like, oh my God, they're on the wrong side. And I didn't even realize that Morris had looked up and noticed the video, but he was like, I don't like that they're on the wrong side. I was like, okay, well, I'll let them know. So there you go. There's your note, Brenda and Laura. You guys were sitting on the wrong side. But it was funny. It was a great video anyway. They always have so much stuff and so many fun things to say. So, okay, I think that's everything for me for today. Isn't that enough? I think so. I will be back again probably in about a month. Oh, next month is May. Oh, and you know what? I have been, it's not like I've talked about it a lot, but I have mentioned before that I brought my stitching room into this room and moved all of Ryan's office and sim stuff into that other room. And I want to show you guys the transformation that I made. Well, it's not quite finished yet, but because next month is May and we're going to have visitors from out of town, this room will need to be done. There will necessarily need to be some curtains on the windows so that our dear friend Kat won't have to like change in front of all the neighbors. So we're gonna put some curtains on the window. I gotta finish some things up here and make it look finished. I have put some of my framed items up on the wall. I finally was able to make a decision, but in doing so kind of like change the combination, the grouping of some things. And now Anne Ogston is like sadly propped up against the cabinet, and I haven't hung Marta Kauser either, so I gotta figure out a spot to put them. Even I've got a present to Esther Clark sitting on the windowsill here. But that's in a really thick frame and it can sit up by itself. So, okay. Well, I think I talked about everything that I needed to talk about, and I gotta say, I think I'm pleasantly surprised with how the lighting has been. So I hope it's not too dark for you guys, but leave me any comments or questions below. And if you want to find me on Instagram, I am at StitchStitchBead, and I will talk to you guys again in about a month. Happy stitching!